Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDL44 coming at you with another video. So, sitting here listening to Chris Broussard. He's talking about his perspective on the LA Lakers, and you know, he seems to believe that the Lakers should probably be going smaller, letting AD play the five, because our fives are not effective, and he feels that the defense, is suffering because of it, and not only that, but he was mentioning that they're getting open shots because we can't stay in front of anybody. So we need to go smaller in certain situations so we can have the speed on the floor, and that kind of thing, guys. I understand that, but my point of view is in regards to that is we need centers on the floor. Even though our centers are not very effective, we need to be able to control the glass, the offensive glass. Now, the defensive glass is one thing, and he mentioned that the Lakers have situations where if you put a center on the floor, there'll be long rebounds off of these 3-point shots that we're shooting, and that the centers are in the paint, so they're not going to get those boards anyway. That's not the rebounds that the Lakers are getting killed on, to be honest with you, dude. It's the offensive glass that the Lakers are having trouble with. It's the ones that are coming off the rim on the inside, on the other end of the court, that the opposing team is able to pull down and get a second chance shot, as to which they are faster than us, and most importantly, the Lakers suck defensively just in general. So that makes it so that we're playing our worst attributes more so than what our best attribute is, which is offense. The second chance points keeps the ball in their hands. So we need to understand that, yeah, the Lakers are getting killed on the boards, and there are a lot of things that need to be done schematically to assure that doesn't happen. But the most important aspect of that is making sure you have enough size on the floor to get to the ball at its highest point. I always say that. Yes, what he says about long rebounds is important. When you shooting a lot of threes, which we are, if we're going to control the defensive glass and get our own offensive boards, we must be in position to get those. And most importantly, just don't take as many, because they're harder to board, and most importantly, we're not making them. So that's pretty obvious. But nevertheless, the Lakers have old legs, and they're taking a lot of threes, and it's understandable. They just have to stop doing it, unfortunately. At this point, I think the Lakers need to trade for a center. We don't have a solution at center. We don't like Dwight Howard. We don't like DJ. Cut and dry. We need to get a center, because what we cannot do is continue to play, as Chris Broussard is suggesting, Anthony Davis at the 5, and have him continue to get boxed out repeatedly. That's a lot of pressure on him to do stuff that he's not very good at. That takes him out of the position to feel as strong as he normally does, because he's banging more, trying to effectively keep up with players like that who are bigger than him, who are more so equipped to bang inside. Putting him at the 5 makes him go up against the Clint Capellas, makes him go up against the Robert Williams, makes him go up against players that he should not have to try to guard, nor be guarded by, if possible. So while we can't control the type of people they put on him, what we can control is who he guards, and I would much rather him on the defensive side do less banging, so he'll have more energy on the side of the ball that we need him on as well, which is the offensive side. Now, granted, the Lakers suck defensively, but we're at a point where we're saying Anthony Davis is on our floor and we suck defensively. Essentially, that's supposed to never happen. Anthony Davis is supposed to make you at least a decent defensive team by himself, in theory. But our guards are so slow and old and non-defensive that even he can't make us good defensively. Which is why I always say the Lakers honestly need to punt defense. Punt it. Kick the ball. You can't defend anyway based on the personnel, so you need to focus on your strengths. We have a lot of potent offensive talent, but we don't find ourselves running the plays that put them in a position to be their best. As we say every day, gotta fire the coach so that we can get that offensive coach in place, a Mike D'Antoni type, and I know that's blasphemous in some ways, but in this case, it's not. You bring in a Mike D'Antoni type of coach who knows offense, who can run a bunch of plays, who is gifted at out of bounds plays and timeout plays. Someone like that who can get all of these different, very, very unique but gifted pieces in a position to feel good and ultimately feel dominant again. Because what we have right now is a easy stand around offensive system with a bunch of old guys running it, and we have a young generation that is not afraid of old people at all. And that's what we need to understand. the way LeBron and Melo and Wade revered the Kobe's and the Tim Duncans and the Kevin Garnett, that ain't how these kids, this generation, is looking at them. They're looking at them as old, and they feel like they're better than them. They feel like they're better than them because they look around and they say we're beating them. When we go up against these guys, they can't guard us. We see the different challenges they have. We don't have those challenges. We're just going to run them out the gym because we feel better. We're younger. And that's their mentality. So it's like anytime you go up against these kids, they're not making mistakes either. They know the game a lot better because they grew up with a certain type of system that in place that is developed over time with the game of basketball. AAU basketball, various video game simulations that allow them to have more of an in-depth insight on the game growing up than maybe we did playing the type of games that we were playing. I mean, we got to understand these kids are not going to make some of these mistakes, these rookie mistakes. They're just not making them. And they're hitting their jump shots. You're not going up against a young crop of talent that looks and reveres the Lakers at all. And it's not something that the Lakers haven't earned. These guys have earned that respect. It's just a weird time, bro. These kids don't care, bro. They do not care. They look at themselves as the leaders of the world. They look at themselves as the best who've ever done it, and they're looking to prove that. And they're not afraid. They're good at what they do. And if you think you're gonna go out there just because you've done it already and you're older and you got experience, man, they're gonna run you out the gym. They don't care about your experience because they're not making the mistakes that you made when you were younger. And see, that's what we need to understand. When you're dealing with a more efficient crop of NBA talent, you have less room to make mistakes. These kids are better. You can't make the mistakes we made 10 years ago. That like I say, that ISO ball, I'm going to shoot, nobody else touching the ball stuff, they honing in on that. You go up against these Scotty Barnes, you go up against these Davion Mitchells, these dudes don't care nothing about these Evan Mobleys, they don't care nothing about what you're talking about. They're good defensively, and they're going to take the ball from you, keep playing with them. So, I think the Lakers need to understand that, start formulating their team around youth. This LeBron James experiment has been wonderful. We won a championship with it. We're going to ride it out, see what we can do, but we need to start thinking youth going forward. One way or another. Like I say, cut down to 2 max players, and you will have the flexibility to build. But as long as we continue to have this hope and dream, this pipe dream about winning a championship with these 3 players, and we can't seem to build a real legitimate team that can go up against the field, like I said, no playoffs. We'll get in the play-in tournament. I think we'll be good enough to be in the play-in tournament, but we ain't gonna make no noise. We're not gonna make no noise, and I just feel like it doesn't have to stay this way. The Lakers situation is not entirely unfixable. You just have to get better role players. You got to put yourself in a position, Rob Pelinka, to work your magic. We've seen you do it before. We know you can make some good deals. You gotta make it happen, and the only way to really do that, I know this. People who watch my channel are gonna know this because I'm gonna say it, but I don't think not too many are gonna tell the truth about this. The only way you're gonna be able to effectively do that is if you trade Russell Westbrook. It's the only way you're gonna do it. I know that. Most GM minds know that. You ain't gonna be able to build this team properly unless you cut it down to 2 max, period. So I hope that the Lakers do that now, salvage this season. I love what Russell's been doing. It has nothing to do with him and his production. He's getting better at this. He's starting to incorporate himself into what we're doing, and he's working real hard, and I like what I'm seeing over these last 4 games. Ain't got nothing to do with him. It has to do with how the heck are we going to find a way to build a championship team here. And the answer is, there's no other way. No different than forcing us to trade away Lonzo Ball to get AD. We needed to, because without the numbers, it wouldn't have happened. Needed to give up Brandon Ingram in order to get AD. It's not necessarily something you wanted to do. This is the same thing. Same exact thing. So if the Lakers don't do this, they're not good enough. It is that simple. My name is BDL44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.